Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the council meeting for Wednesday, April the 9th. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we'll read our land acknowledgement. We are gathering on lands that have been home to First Nations people from time immemorial. We acknowledge that what we now call Richmond Hill is on the treaty lands and territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations of the Williams Treaty. We also recognize that we are on part of the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and the Huron-Wendat. We would also like to acknowledge all First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people from across Turtle Island who now reside in the city of Richmond Hill. We are committed to rebuilding constructive and cooperative relationships. So if you can, I'd like you to now stand for our national anthem. Okay, thank you very much. The next item is a public forum, which I don't think we have anybody signed up for. So the next item after that is a council announcement. So Councillor Silovitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, everybody. It's gathered with us today in council chambers, as well as all who are watching online. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that this weekend is a very important weekend in the Jewish calendar, where we celebrate Passover, known as Pesach in Hebrew. The Jewish holiday of Passover commemorates the exodus of the Jews from slavery in Egypt. We even have a book of the Bible named after that. So this will continue for the next 8 nights following Saturday night. So to everybody who celebrates, I want to wish everybody a Chag Pesach Sameach. May you all eat well, especially your matzah, your unleavened bread, and may we all soon know peace in our time. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor. Anybody else for council announcements? Councillor Thompson?
Thank you. Through you, the mayor, just wanted to remind everybody that there is a federal election going on, and that here in Richmond Hill, we have 2 ridings. Richmond Hill is split into 2, Richmond Hill South, and you have Aurora, Oak Ridges, and Richmond Hill to the north. There will be 2 candidate get-togethers next week. They're hosted by the Richmond Hill Board of Trade. So Tuesday, Aurora up in Oak Ridges, you will find that starts at 6:30 if you're looking to get information on the candidates. And then if you're in Richmond Hill South, that would be at the Bayview Community Center on the Wednesday, again, starting at 6:30. So those are all I have to say.
Great, thank you very much. Anybody else? Councillor Tree?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So through Mr. Chair to all the public. So this actually April 2nd is the World Autism Day. So I just want to acknowledge in city of Richmond Hill, also other cities as well. So there might be a series of the autism awareness promotions from different NPOs or charity teams. So I just want to acknowledge it here as well. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, I have a couple of things. I just wanted to start off by reporting to everybody in council. We just returned on Friday from a really successful trade mission to Germany. We were very well received as the city of Richmond Hill. We had some great meetings with a number of different companies, both that are already here in Richmond Hill, but also ones that are potentially we're trying to attract to Richmond Hill. Canada in this at the Hanover Messe trade show was the feature country. So there was a really significant Canadian presence in Hanover. And in fact, it was kind of funny because there was quite a bit of maple syrup Timbits and sapsucker sap water floating around on the convention floor. So we had a really good presence. But I will say that one of the things I was very proud of was the reception that the Canadian companies, the Canadian delegations were receiving in Europe. And it was said several times actually that, you know, Canada is about as European as you can get without actually being in Europe. And we, you know, talked to a number of companies and it would come up in the meeting that, you know, they were thinking about investing internationally and they were thinking about maybe going to the United States, but with all that's going on in the United States that, you know, maybe they would choose to go to Canada instead. So we said that was a very good idea. And, you know, and that happened more than a few times. So I think that was really great. And I just wanted to thank the two staff members that were with me, Brenda Osler and Anthony Arulo. They are very good at what they do. And we had a real setup for success, many meetings. It was extremely busy. And I think I'm hoping to see some good results coming from that. So on a couple of other notes, today is International Day of Pink. It started in Canada in 2007, and this is the day to stand in solidarity with the 2 SLGBTQIA+ community and celebrate diversity, while also taking a stand against bullying and discrimination. I would also like to echo what Councillor Tree was saying. This is Autism Awareness Month, and we actually raised the flag this morning in recognition of Autism Month, and we are a little late for Autism Day, which is April 2nd, but we did it anyway. We had members from Autism Ontario come out and join us, and I think that it was a really good way to raise awareness of the gifts that people with autism bring to our community. I would also like to echo Councillor Silovitz and extend a warm wishes to everybody celebrating Passover with the first Seder being on Saturday night. So Hag Sameach, happy Passover to everybody, and I wish you a great time with family and in celebrating that. And second to the end, I do want to give a big shout out to the Richmond Hill Coyotes. Which is our COSHL hockey team. It's their first year in Richmond Hill. And yeah, I think they did quite well this year. In fact, they won the Central Ontario Super Hockey League Championship the other day. So for those of you that got to see them this year, they're a really entertaining hockey team. And you know, I'm sure they'll be back next year, and the expectations will be high. And then finally, Saturday is my annual Maple Syrup Festival. Looks like it's going to be good weather, but we do have indoor and outdoor things going on at that festival. We are expecting quite a good crowd for that. This is maple syrup season. As much as the weather goes up and down in temperature, this is prime maple syrup season, and the sap is running, and we'll certainly be making some maple syrup and having all kinds of different activities, including real maple syrup and pancakes for people to enjoy on Saturday at Richmond Green, and it runs from 10 till 4. So hopefully we'll see you then. All right, so having said that, introduction of emergency or time-sensitive matters. Seeing none, so I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Silovitz, Regional Local Councillor Chan, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof. Okay, seeing none. We have two council meeting minutes, council public meeting held on March 25th and the council meeting held on March 26th. And mover and seconder for that, Councillor Tree, Councillor Shu, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Identification of items requiring separate discussion. So we have an agenda today where most things could be adopted on consent if that's the will of council. 15.1.3 is pulled because of a delegation. And we have one bylaw that's pulled with that same delegation. So can I get a mover, or sorry, is there anybody that wants to remove anything from the agenda? Okay, so I need a mover and seconder to adopt the rest. Councillor Liu, Councillor Davidson, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. So that means that we'll adopt everything on consent except 15.1.3 and all the hold all the bylaws? Okay, and we'll hold all the bylaws. Okay, so we voted on that, right? Okay. Okay, public hearings, we have none. But this is a pretty exciting day today in Richmond Hill. And we have, well, usually we have like an award or two to recognize, but today, I didn't actually count them in advance, but we have the Marcon Gold Award for 2024 for the Collective Gardens Community Growth Video, the Marcon Gold Award for 2024 Trails Etiquette Video, the Marcon Honorable Mention for 2024 Spring Summer 2024 My Richmond Hill Householder, the Vidi Gold Award for 2024 Stormwater Management Video, the AVA Platinum Award 2024 Find Yourself Here Video Series, the AVA Gold Award 2024 Benefits of the Urban Forest Video, the AVA Honorable Mention winner Bathurst Water Main Replacement Video, the AVA Honorable Mention winner Electrofishing Video. Excuse me, I just got to take a drink of water here. The AVA Gold Award 2025 Splash Pad Video, the AVA Gold Award 2025 Community Garden Video, the AVA Honorable Mention winner Richmond Hill 150 Happy Birthday Video, the AVA Platinum winner Richmond Hill's 150th Anniversary Photo Booth, the AVA Gold winner Trails Etiquette Video, the AVA Platinum winner Stormwater Management Video, and the AVA Gold winner Richmond Hill's 150th Anniversary 150 Facts Digital Marketing Campaign. I'm just hoping that at that award ceremony, there was something left for somebody else, you know, being the generous community that we are. But all kidding aside, I'm really proud of our communications department. We do tend to do well in our communications department with awards that I've seen over the years that I've been on council. But this one is probably the definition of overachieving. So congratulations to our winners. And Candace, did you want to say a few words to kind of fill in the blanks?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much. So good morning, Mayor and Council, and I'm thrilled to be here today to share with you some exciting news about the outstanding work of the city. The Communications Services Division here at the city has been recognized with an impressive, as the Mayor just mentioned, 15 awards, and that's for their excellence in communications and for helping to keep the community informed, engaged, and connected. The awards that have been bestowed to the city, they're by 3 organizations. The first is the AVA Digital Awards, and that is administered by the Association of Marketing and Communication Professionals. The Vidi Awards, which is one of the oldest, the largest, and the most respected awards program in the video industry, and Marcom. This is the largest creative competition, and each year it sees about 7,000 print and digital entries from around the world. The awards received by the city span 2 years and include 12 awards for videos with topics ranging from community gardens, public education on our stormwater management fee and the success of our urban forest, as well as our digital marketing campaign and photo booth for Richmond Hill's 150th anniversary, and the city's very own print newsletter that is distributed to each household. These awards highlight the creativity, the innovation, and the hard work that go into ensuring our residents have clear, timely, and impactful information. And I can tell you, that whether it's through our website, our news releases, our public campaigns, our social media or advertising initiatives, this team consistently goes above and beyond to serve the city. This recognition is a testament not only to their talent, but also to the strong commitment each of them have to serving the community. I would like to thank you, Mayor West and Council, for your continued support and leadership in fostering an environment where excellence and public service can thrive. And I would like to wish the City of Richmond Hill and each member of the Communication Services Division that is here with me today a very heartfelt congratulations on achieving these awards. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, would you mind? Maybe we use phone or?
Okay, come on in, everybody. Okay, so we have one delegation today, and I see Catherine is here. So Miss Mabley, if you want to come and speak to council about 300 Douglas Road and the proposed application that we're dealing with today, you've got 5 minutes to address council. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor, council members, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to share a few details that may add helpful context to this development application. I understand the complexities that you face making these decisions, and while today we're only discussing land severance, I believe the broader implications are worth considering. I've lived on Douglas Road almost 30 years in a unique micro-community of former cottage country where historic lots, all sizes, back onto Lake Wilcox. My home is at the end of Douglas, near a stream and a city pumping station that runs daily. It's a peaceful spot, rich in wildlife and the natural rhythms of the lake. But behind that tranquility is a fragile system. Years ago, the pump failed, flooding our basement with sewage. Repairs took weeks and cost tens of thousands of dollars, and we were told it was a small incident, but it required a full electrical panel replacement and upgrade for the pump. To this day, the pump needs weekly in-person monitoring and constant upkeep from city staff and contractors alike. Just this winter, a city crew of 4 and multiple dump trucks spent 6 hours clearing the snow to maintain access. Heavy rain brings its own risks. That pump has been replaced twice in my memory, and it's under constant pressure, literally and figuratively. But it's not just our pump. There's a second pump on nearby Joyce's Point that's just a short distance away. With 2 pumps, it's twice the cost and twice the liability for the city and its taxpayers. Adding new homes increases the volume these pumps must handle. More waste, more strain, and greater risk of failure. And when failure happens, the impact is costly, messy, and borne by the residents and city alike. One lot severance today sets the precedent for many more in the future. And with every additional home comes more pressure on already vulnerable, costly infrastructure. If those systems fail under the growing strain, the cost of restitution to affected residents can multiply quickly. It's an exponential financial liability for the city and its taxpayers. And I urge you to consider not just infrastructure, but the environmental impact. When I moved here, Lake Wilcox teemed with bullfrogs and red-winged blackbirds. Fish nested along rocky shores, and the bulrushes waved in the wind along the shoreline. Now the rocks are buried in silt. The frogs and the bulrushes are gone, and the blackbirds are scarce. Silt from development has permanently altered the shore and the flora of the lake. The lot in this application backs onto a gravel laneway, Joyce's Point, that slopes directly into the lake. If you've never been to our neighborhood, Joyce's Point is a small private dirt laneway. Any runoff, especially during development, goes unfiltered into Lake Wilcox. Furthermore, across from my house is a stormwater unit. I've seen water shoot literally 2 feet in the air from the grates when we have a storm. On one occasion, my neighbor actually had to sandbag their front door to protect their home from the water. That floodwater didn't come from the lake. It came from infrastructure uphill. Infrastructure built to support homes, hundreds of homes, 3 streets away that impact our neighborhood. The water in those developed subdivisions used to seep into the ground, and now it's collected in ponds that flow into stormwater units, which are supposed to allow the water to settle and to flow cleanly into the lake. That does not happen when we get an abundance of rain. Instead, we get plumes of silt billowing out into the lake behind my home and any other home that has access. The amount of development directly impacts your infrastructure. This is not a standard cookie-cutter subdivision. It's a neighborhood that's evolved over decades, not months. We're not opposed to development. We're just asking for responsible, respectful development. Development that considers the long-term environmental impact, infrastructure capacity, and the taxpayers who fund it all. And on behalf of the 10 Joyce's Point residents, I've been asked to share their 3 key concerns which align with mine. 1, drainage risk. The narrow private laneways already struggles with poor drainage and stormwater. More development will worsen that. 2, environmental impact. This is a sensitive ecosystem. Past construction has already harmed the lake. And city liability. Added strain on pumping stations raises costs, risks, and potential liability for the city. We respectfully urge Council to carefully consider the environmental, infrastructure, and community implications before allowing this severance to proceed. Thank you for your time and your kind consideration. That's it.
Thanks very much for that. And we don't have any other delegations, so we'll bring this back to council to deal with 15.1.3. So the ward councillor is Councillor Davidson. Did you want to get us started?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Catherine, for coming. I agree with everything you said. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask staff, is this area currently zoned for infill or additional units?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we don't zone specifically for infill per se. The existing zoning standards have a minimum lot frontage and area requirement. So depending on the lot size, you can or cannot sever. What this applicant has done is come in to change the zoning to allow that severance to happen. So to answer the question indirectly, I apologize. The current zoning would not allow the present development or the proposed development. That's why they need a rezoning to allow the frontages that they're proposing.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So I see no reason to change this zoning. I don't know if people realize the stress on Lake Wilcox. I've been there 25 years. I've seen a huge difference. This city is dedicated to preserving environment. We partner with the UN folks who are in this building, and we need to really walk the walk and say, we have to minimize the amount of the development, especially around Lake Wilcox. I would challenge anyone to find a street like the one that on Joyce's Point. There isn't one. It's right up against the lake. And it's not like denying this severance will change our dilemmas about affordable housing or anything else. It'll just add more stress to the area, to the environment, to the lake. So I don't think we should allow this severance. It's not part of the current zoning. We don't need to make an amendment that will make things worse for the Lake Wilcox environment. We don't know what the future holds in terms of climate change and water and rain and precipitation. And I just think we need to start backing away from development around Lake Wilcox and in other environmentally sensitive areas when we can. And this is one of those times. So those are my comments. I don't support the severance. Thank you.
Okay, well, we need a mover to get this on the floor. Is there somebody that would move the motion then to get us going? Okay, well, if we don't get a motion moved, we won't be. I mean, it'll fail on. I guess it'll fail, right? Okay. All right, we need a seconder before we continue. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Councillor Silovitz.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Catherine, for coming to speak with us this morning. I completely agree with you, and I completely agree with Councillor Davidson. And I don't see the necessity of the severance of this lot other than a return of investment to the individual landowner. So I cannot support this either. I have moved this simply for discussion purposes. And I would like to ask through you, Mr. Mayor, perhaps to our commissioner, and I don't have the staff report in front of me, but has there ever been an environmental impact assessment done for this particular area?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. As part of the submission to the municipality, a number of studies were required. One of them was a hydrogeological evaluation, erosion and sediment control studies, and grading plans were submitted to the municipality. So the site itself is not located in proximity to the, specific hazard land, so we wouldn't ask for a specific environmental assessment, but a hydrogeological investigation was submitted as part of the site plan applications.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I would respectfully suggest perhaps to Councillor Davidson and that at some point she brings forward a motion for an environmental impact study to take place at this location and any others that are under such stress around Lake Wilcox. That is such an important part of our city, and we need to do everything we possibly can to protect it. I do remember through my council years that there has always been a lot of discussion about runoff into the lake, and we need to make sure we don't get the Hudson River here at some point. So those are my comments. I won't be supporting this, and I would hope that the landowner would think very carefully about doing this simply for most likely their own benefit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Regional Councillor DePaulo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question through you. I have the same concerns that were expressed by the first two speakers. But my question is, the request to rezone is from third density R3 to single family R2, which would seem to be a less dense zoning that's a rezoning. Is that correct? You're going from R3 to R2? It's usually the other way around.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. We can't look at the numeric sort of nomenclature that the bylaws really outline here. The R3 zone is under a very old bylaw, 1703, and it specifies a specific frontage. The R2 zone is under a newer bylaw. So actually, in this case, they're actually going backwards. They're asking for smaller or more dense lot frontage and area.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. So at one point, our third density was less dense than our single family in today's standards. So okay, well, I don't think our delegate here today is opposed to what's being done. There's concerns that this opportunity be taken to really make sure Joyce's Point Road is properly that stormwater is properly dealt with in the area. I think that's the concern. I'm not hearing that we're getting a commitment. I think that's part of the problem. You know, as home by home, everyone's required to take care of the stormwater on their lot, and there isn't any comprehensive planning for this area. There's a lot of new homes, a lot of smaller homes taken down, large homes put up, and the requirements are very minimal about what is to be done with stormwater. And I don't think there's ever really the opportunity, as there would be in a block subdivision, to properly deal with stormwater. And this particular area, this street, you might argue that is the most important stormwater management that we have in the city, because as was said by the delegation, the street actually drains into Lake Wilcox. So I have a lot of concerns. I've seconded the motion for discussion purposes. I'd like to hear from others, and I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Regional Local Councillor Deputy Mayor Chan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the delegate outline concern. And I like it you succinctly, I guess, on behalf of yourself, your neighbors, or the three, you boil it down to concerns. And hearing what you have presented and also listening carefully to the local councillor and councillor civilist, as well as the speaker before me, I do hear the concern, particularly on the drainage and environmental issues. I'm all with it. I do want to touch on the third issue about potential liability. On that note, and I would, through you, Mr. Chair, I don't want to address the Commissioner for Planning or Solicitor. For the potential liability the delegate was raising, or what would be the kind of risk to the extent that staff could advise council, because we have to make a decision. What would be the kind of risk for council, I guess, would be for approving this particular application in front of us, through Mr. Chair.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can you rephrase the question in terms of what specific the councillor is, or the regional councillor is asking about?
Thank you, City Solicitor. I am raising this question because the question or the issue of liability, or potential liability, I should say, have been mentioned at the end from the delegate. So I'm responding to that and going further to get professional comment, the extent to which that the potential liability may exist. And if there is, then we should know about it. Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
If you don't see any risk, maybe that's something we should hear.
Is this legal advice that we should be in camera for?
Thank you. Through the chair, that would certainly be the solicitor would have to opine on that. But certainly, if a member of council is asking for something that could be subject to solicitor-client privilege or litigation or potential litigation, I have no doubt that the city solicitor would rather have those discussions in closed session.
Okay, city solicitor. Oh, you're off. There you go.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if there's a specific point, certainly it wouldn't be appropriate to answer that in open session. But in any case, the risk associated with any activity that the municipality undertakes, if there's a generic, then yes, that's something we have systems in place in terms of dealing with any potential claims that come forward. They will be investigated, and then they will be responded to.
Thank you. Thank you very much, through Mr. Chair, the regional city solicitor response. Certainly this is more generic, but the issue has been raised, and I feel duty bound to also seek clarification or comments. Now, other than I raising question of that particular issue that mentioned by the delegate, I have to be honest, I have a bit of concern in this case, that in particular in the staff report, a number of quote-unquote comments or supporting the recommended approval, subject to a number of things. It has cited the infill study. It has also talking about a number of areas on, you can go from a number of pages. Then it's deemed as good planning. And I'm concerned when, like any application, if the staff recommending constitute good planning and council, let's say with not approving it, there is a likelihood that the applicant may go to Ontario Land Tribunal. But this is what my thinking is. But I'd like to get confirmation through Mr. Chair from perhaps in this case, Commissioner of Planning. If this particular application, council did vote in a sense not accepting the staff recommendation, what particular position that council might have in the event the applicant choose to appeal to OLT, through Mr. Chair.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. As with all of these types of applications, council ultimately makes the decision as to whether they should proceed, and then the applicant would have to decide whether they want to appeal that decision. What you have before you is a position of recommendation from staff. And the applicant would obviously, if they choose to move forward, they would take that recommendation staff report with them. And staff would be on side with the applicant that way if they want to use that position. So that's basically where we would be. I can't give you any insight as to what the applicant may or may not do. That's just the situation that we would find ourselves in.
Thank you. Yeah, I have no further comments and questions. Thank you for your response, Commissioner, and thank you, Chair. I'm just trying to respond to all the concerns in terms of questions from the delegate, as well as the what if. But again, we don't have a crystal ball. Those will be my comments and questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anybody else on the first round? Okay, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you very much. Through you, the chair. So I understand that, basically we were looking at cottage country at one time, and I would imagine that before we ever got a pumping station, people would have had a septic system of some sort. So I'm just, if I could get, some clarification from staff, would that have been the case, or was there always something that was else that would have been managing the systems there?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. The history of this part of the municipality was, in fact, that these were cottage lots. As you can see, there's a lot of smaller lots here, a lot of smaller cottages, and they still exist today around North Lake Road, Sunset Beach, other areas, including this one. They did, in fact, have septic systems to address those issues in the past. Those days are gone by, and municipal infrastructure was put in place to address the needs of that area. So we do have systems in place, obviously. We've come up with infill studies over the years because there's been interest for redevelopment, and those things are all taken into account with the existing municipal systems and whatever is needed for improvement. So I can't speak to any proposals for improvement for the area or how the system is running. I'd have to defer to my colleague on that if you want to get that information. But that's basically the history of the area. It has transformed over time, and we see bigger developments. There's been subdivisions, there's been severances, there's been redevelopment throughout the area, and we rely on the existing systems that are in place to address the needs for that development.
Thank you. So in addressing those needs, I would imagine that there may have even been some that didn't even have septic. They may have been outhouses, as an example. So was it a requirement that everybody connect to the new system that the municipality put in place?
Through the chair to Councillor Thompson, while this, to echo Commissioner Galanis's point that were quite eloquently made, that may have been the situation. However, moving forward, when we upgrade an area, the idea is to bring everyone in. I can't speak specifically for Oak Ridges, but typically through my experience, that is the requirement. We have seen this in other municipalities where an area that's traditionally all on septic, that everyone does make that connection. So I know it's historical, it's decades ago, but it's typically what happens.
Okay, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I guess my concern here, and I get it, you know, particularly if, you know, we're looking at outhouses and potential leaking septic systems and things like that, then yes, we want to try and move into a much better system. And I'm sure there was all kinds of studies and so forth that were done at the time. And I have, you know, utmost respect for the professionalism of the staff that have to read those studies, understand them, and make sure that, you know, they, you know, will do exactly what we want them to do. But as we've heard from the delegate this morning, that even with all that has happened, you know, we've had a system that, from what I've heard, I'm only hearing one side here, is that it's failed twice, and it's, you know, caused some issues. So I guess my concern is, and again, I love the professionalism of our staff, but sometimes what happens in theory and then in practice isn't always, you know, what we're hoping for. So, you know, as Councillor Silovitz had said, you know, perhaps there's another study that we should be doing, and I'm wondering if, at the very least, maybe we should be deferring this at this time. So that's my question.
Okay, you done?
Unless I should be asking for a deferral.
Can I actually have a couple of comments about that too. Can I ask, if you're going to do that, can you wait for the second round?
Absolutely.
Okay, is there anybody else on the first round? Okay, so I have a few comments, and I read the staff report this morning. I wasn't here for committee of the whole, so I didn't hear that part of the conversation, but I'm of two minds on this. My heart is definitely with some of the things that you were saying, Ms. Mabley, and what you're representing the rest of the community. You know, that area is a sensitive area. We have worked very hard on Lake Wilcox to make sure that it's in better health than it was a few years ago, and we've been pretty successful, I think, at that. But I guess the concern that I totally understand and think that's very important. And I also think that, and I haven't asked this question yet, but I have a feeling that during the construction, there will be measures that will be taken to make sure that those types of things are taken care of, and it's not causing an undue amount of harm for the lake. I'm sure we would do that. But actually, before I say what I'm about to say, can I get clarity on what is the problem with the pumping station that we've had, and why have we had those problems, and how would this particular application exacerbate those problems to any large extent?
Through the chair to the mayor, thank you for the question. While the particular infrastructure is maintained by Public Works, we are not currently aware that there is any problem with maintaining the existing pumping station, this one or any one of the other ones that the city owns and maintains. This is typical infrastructure that's used to service residential neighborhoods across the industry. It's not unusual infrastructure.
Okay.
And does not pose a risk. It's actually more environmentally friendly as opposed to former systems that existed decades ago, like well and septics, because we don't have control over to the extent residents would maintain those systems. This provides for an improvement in that area in that sense.
Okay, but I guess, thank you for that. But what I'm also asking is there some sort of a problem with that particular piece of infrastructure that would be exacerbated by adding a unit to, because that's really what this is about.
To you, Mr. Chair. So I have talked to the Director of Public Works Operations, and he's confirmed that there's no issue with this particular station. It's in good shape. It's old, but it's in good shape.
Okay. All right. Okay, actually, let me ask you then, I guess probably to Commissioner of Planning, what steps would be taken in an area like this, or maybe any other, but particularly in an area like this during construction and afterwards to make sure that we're being, cognizant of the fact that there is a sensitive ecosystem right on the doorstep?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. So that starts at the initiation of the application. We asked for specific studies to address any environmental concerns, servicing and grading concerns, those type of things. Those submissions are circulated and reviewed against all the criteria that apply to redevelopment to address environmental issues, grading, et cetera. And then if there's any measures that need to be put in place, specific measures, those are made part of the site plan approval. So that's where we're at with this application. We're at the site plan approval. Once they get their site plan approval, they get permits. And again, they have to construct in accordance with the approved site plan agreement that addresses those matters. So there's a cascading effect here as you go down the process. So these folks would actually need the rezoning, then they need to get a consent, then they need site plan approval, then they get a building permit. And we're at the first leg of the process.
Okay,
right
so should this proceed, what types of measures would be put in place to make sure that there's no silt, or minimal silt running off? There's, any of those types of things would be put in place. And frankly, I would assume they would be put in place should anybody in that neighborhood decide to do major renovations on their house as well.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct. The site plan agreement would specify silt control fencing and any other measures that would be required at that time.
Okay. Are there any measures that are taken in a situation like this that would be above and beyond what there would be, should there not be an environmental feature close by? Like, are we asking for extra things to make sure that there's no or minimal environmental impact, being that it's so close to the lake?
Through the chair to the mayor. In any site plan application or, construction, erosion and sediment control measures are always applied. They're indicated as required on drawings, and they're not considered above and beyond. They can be over-designed if we so desire, but they can be considered also punitive then to the applicant. But what we follow is industry best practices to manage erosion and sediment control on any construction site to protect the surrounding environment, similar to the way the tree protection is also applied for existing trees when there's a development to protect them. So the aim is to protect the existing environment from the existing ongoing construction site. And silt and erosion measures there are many different types, and they're employed and specified on the approved drawings.
Okay. All right. So my heart tells me that, I totally understand what you're talking about. And it does bother me a little bit to see this type of thing happening as close as it is to Lake Wilcox. And I would want to make absolutely sure that if this type of thing were ever to proceed, that we're doing everything within our jurisdiction and within our power to make sure that we're doing this extra right, not just the way we normally would do it. But honestly, my practical side is saying, I've read the staff report, and there's very little in the staff report that would give me any sort of practical reason why we would deny this application. And the problem that I'm running into is that if this application gets denied today, and we have the right to do that, absolutely, it will go to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and we will, we'll probably lose. We're going to have to hire external people to defend this because our staff has already given a positive recommendation. So that is going to cost the city an extra amount of money. And again, that would be okay too, except for the fact that I think at the end of the day, I don't think that I don't think the OLP is going to be listening to the kinds of things that the community is saying and use those things in order to have the outcome that we would want. So I'm worried that could happen, but I will say that there are some questions that have come up today that I do find interesting. We've got some answers, but I wouldn't mind having the extra bit of time to to mull this over a little bit for staff or with staff. So I would support if Councillor Thompson or somebody else, but Councillor Thompson mentioned it, to defer this maybe till the next council meeting, because I don't think it would take very long for us to get some information. But, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. And if there is a reason to deny the application, then that's fine. But at the present moment, with the information I have at the moment, which is incomplete, I'm not sure that we would have enough information to really deny it and actually win in the outcome of this. So those will be my comments for now. Councillor Davidson, you were first up for a second round, but I'll come to Councillor Thompson second, if that's okay. Did you want to do that, or? No, it's not.
Okay, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So I get what you guys are saying, but this applicant bought this property knowing that it was zoned for one house. And now this applicant's coming to us saying, we want to put two. And he's asking us to say yes to something that's not the zoning when he bought the house, or he or she. So we are going to make a point of saying, yes, more development on this tiny little street. And even if the pumps or whatever can handle the extra stress, it's more people, more cars, more everything that's unnecessary on such an extremely environmentally sensitive area. And, the city signed an agreement with the United Nations University Institute for Water and Environment. We all went, we all said we're green, we all pledged to be more sustainable. We're a bird-friendly city. We keep talking about being environmental, and actually living up to that, being a green city, means we're going to have to make some tough decisions that people won't like. And I feel like we're becoming, I feel there's a possibility that anyone on councils at a municipal level in Ontario are so afraid of the Ontario Land Tribunal that we censor ourselves and we're not doing things that are a little bit more brave, because we know that there's an Ontario Land Tribunal that tends to prefer the application for more development. But there's nothing about this, two houses, that's going to solve any of our housing issues. But it will add more to a very environmentally sensitive area. So it's not like the owner didn't know that they could build another house. They can. But to ask us to approve more development and more population and more everything on such an environmentally sensitive area, that's not part of the big picture for Lake Wilcox for me. So I hope we will vote against it. The other thing about the deferral, I understood my colleague, Councillor Silvitz, indicating that we want a more comprehensive study. And if we want it on the fly or fast, that tends to cost more money. So I say deny this, and then I will bring forward a motion to do something more comprehensive. But through you, Mr. Chair, what kind of environmental assessment I'm asking staff, could we do in 2 weeks that would be meaningful?
Through the chair of the councillor, no environmental study or assessment can be undertaken in 2 weeks.
So what, through you, Mr. Chair, I guess we can't guess what we would come up with in 2 weeks that we don't already know. But I would be against the deferral. Let's just say no and move on. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you very much, through the chair, and respectfully, I absolutely understand where Councillor Davidson is coming from, but I also understand exactly what the mayor has said, that if we do a denial now, it's likely going to end up right out of our hands altogether. So as much as I agree that on principle, this person would have known what they bought and so forth, but I hate to see this get to a point where it's completely out of our hands. So ideally, I think I still would prefer we go for a deferral. And having said that, I guess my question to staff is that if we were looking to get a wholesome environmental assessment by an independent body, what type of time frame would we need for a deferral like that, for that to occur?
Through the chair of the councillor, I'll start the response to this, and I'll look to my colleagues as well to jump in for any additional information. I don't believe it's typical for the municipality to take ownership in an environmental study related to someone else's development application. Simply put, development pays for development, and Commissioner Gladys, I think, alluded to this earlier, that as part of the approval of the site plan process, then whatever required studies would follow, of which the city would then review to ensure compliance with regulatory environmental needs and whatnot.
Thank you. Through the chair, this is something that has always come up that we find is, or at least I certainly find a little bit problematic, is that we're being asked to make a decision before something gets to site plan. And then you're telling me the type of information that we want to hear to help us make a decision won't be available until it gets to site plan. Is there any way that we can require that this be made at this time to the applicant so that it's something that this council has the opportunity to actually hear and make a wholesome decision on?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So I want to be clear that there's been no trigger for an environmental study here in this application at all. I haven't reviewed it myself, but from what I can see and from discussions with staff, neither the TRCA nor our own environmental commenters have even like identified this, sort of earmarked this as being an environmental concern. So just to keep that in mind, that's why there is no environmental study with the application. Certainly, if council wanted to do an environmental study, you could do one, but there isn't a justification to even ask this applicant for one.
Thank you. So through the chair, it sounds to me if we if we wanted to do a deferral at this point, then really it's now just to go back to ask those particular bodies why they haven't requested that. And that would be something that I guess we could get an answer back in 2 weeks. But again, I'm not sure what the benefit would be in the end. Mayor?
Okay, so if I may, and this is up to council, obviously, my thinking would be that there are unanswered or less fulsomely answered questions that have been asked here today that I would like personally to see some answers. The environmental assessment thing, that's not going to happen. We cannot compel this this landowner to do an environmental assessment when no policy would compel them to do so. It's just, as much as we may want that to happen, it isn't going to happen. But what I think the value of having a couple of weeks to think about this is that I would envision, I'm hoping this staff was on board with this, but to take some of the questions that have been asked today and give us a little bit of a deeper dive in answering those questions and understanding what are the ramifications of this particular application and what ground would we stand on to say no to an application like this. If we had grounds from an environmental perspective that are within our understanding and within our jurisdiction to deny it, then I suspect that we probably would. But if we don't have those grounds to do that, what we would likely be doing is denying it, having it go to the OLT, spending quite a bit of money on it, because we would have to be hiring external legal counsel and planners and so on, and end up losing in the end. And that concerns me, and I want to avoid that. So the 2 weeks would give us a little bit of extra time to get those answers. And then if council is comfortable making a decision for or against at that time, great. If they're not, then we can do something else. But it pauses this discussion for a couple of weeks while we seek some answers. So that's what my vision would be. But sorry, that was a little longer. Just staff have anything to add to that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, nothing to add other than I would say We followed a process here. It's a standard process. All the issues have been addressed, and we're at a stage right now where the site plan agreements can be finalized in short order. So I'm concerned about coming back to you within 2 weeks and basically just highlighting again exactly what's in the staff report.
That's okay.
But I'm in your hands on that.
Yeah. Any information that you can get would be helpful. Okay, hold on a sec. So Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
Thank you. I think it would be worthwhile. I understand I'm not the only one that has questions, so I would prefer that we do at least I'd like to bring a deferral motion forward. And if the clerk could help us in that respect, it would be appreciated.
Referral or deferral?
Thank you. Through the chair. So it would certainly be my recommendation that this matter be referred back to staff.
Yeah, refer.
Deferral is just to delay a decision.
Right. Got it.
And it seems to me that it might be council's intent to refer this back to staff for a further report back addressing the comments and questions of the delegate and council.
I think a memo of some sort, it doesn't have to be a full-fledged staff report, would suffice at this time to fill in the blanks. That's all we're looking for right now, I think.
Okay. I'd be comfortable with a referral. If clerk could help us out, it'd be appreciated.
Okay. So, Mr. Clerk, if you can put that up on the screen, Regional Local Councillor Deputy Mayor Chan, you had said you want to second that. And I've got Regional Local Councillor DePaulo and Councillor Silovitz after that, right? Yeah, 2 weeks.
Can we only speak to the referral now that's on the screen?
Yeah. Okay, you're out? Yeah, you can second it. Go ahead.
Still, Councillor Thompson.
I think he's done. We're going to get it up on the screen, though. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Thompson, for moving for the referral motion. I did refer to the staff report saying that constitute good planning and so on and so on. So like the mayor, I'm kind of 2 minds as well, but I do have some questions. So that particular opportunity, if this motion pass, would give myself and some other members of council, including mayor, to seek further input. And also it's already suggested maybe staff through the Commissioner of Planning will come back with a memo in particular addressing some of the concerns being raised by all of us here. Now, one thing that in seconding this motion that the clerk would advise me, this might not be a proper question to the staff through Mr. Chair. I did note that the applicant actually first made an application back in 2018. That's quite a long time ago. And the bylaw wants to change is 29 years young. I mean, old. So I don't know to what extent are we moving with times. And I do understand, you know, what people bought in 30 years ago, or whatever it was, a cottage area. It still is very much like it. But I think some of those would be the kind of questions I might have. I don't necessarily need a response now, but I'm just noted that put in context in terms of timeline. So I'm happy to second the motion, and I know my other colleagues will have questions as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Regional Local Councillor DePaulo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And, you know, I think the mover for the referral motion, I think you were really on track, Mr. Mayor, with your comments about the logistics of how to go forward here. Just remind council that, you know, our planning commissioner has said they're recommending approval and ready to process this, and they have no concerns. So that's not going to change in 2 weeks' time. And for those councillors who are inclined to go against that recommendation, to reject the application, you have to take the time to seek out grounds by which you can reject this and stand on to defend ourselves on appeal. So I don't expect a lot to change, but there has been some productive discussions, some concerns raised, and I just hope that councillors that have outstanding concerns can speak with staff and have those addressed. So we're ready for when this comes back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else on the referral? Go ahead, Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no problem with the deferral, despite, we don't expect much information to come back in 2 weeks. My only question is, so as Deputy Mayor Chan mentioned, this application has been going on since 2018. So within these 2 weeks, can the applicant goes to the OLT? Because we didn't respond to the staff recommendation. Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, they're well within their rights to actually make an appeal if they wish.
Okay, Councillor Davidson, you want to speak to the referral?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm all for getting more information for all of us. I do want to say my view is just because the rules are the way they are doesn't mean they're right or that they've caught up. The environment has become a huge issue just in the last 5 years. So I think some of us have spoken with staff, but sometimes maybe we just need to start going against the grain and doing things that we can see with our own eyes, whether or not the zoning agrees. Anyway, I'm all for getting more information. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? If I can just respond, I think we're all kind of roughly on the same page here, that we're all trying to do the right thing and we're all trying to make sure that we're doing this carefully because of the location. But with all due respect, I mean, going against the grain when you know you're going to get slaughtered is not helpful. And I do say that with all respect. I mean, like as Councillor DiPaolo said, if we were to deny this application, and we have that right, absolutely, we would need to come up with a reason for it. And not just a reason that we want to think is true, but a reason that is defensible at the OLT. Because if we don't have a reason that is defensible under the OLT, it might feel good and look good right now to do something like this. But what I'm really interested in is making sure that we're doing the best that we can for the municipality, and losing at the OLT is not a good thing. I mean, I used the example last night during the meeting that, we had a 25-story building here that, the community was not very happy about, and I totally understand that. And we approved it, and the community at that time was able to appeal the application, and we now have a 28-story building. So, that was not helpful. And we spent a bunch of money doing that appeal, and the community frankly spent a bunch of money doing that appeal, and we got, a bigger building than what we went in on. So, that's the problem that you run into when you are going to the OLT without a strong case. And that's not to scare people from appealing to the OLT in any way, shape, or form, but there has to be a good rational reason why we think that that's the route to go, or it's just going to cost us a bunch of money. And that's the concern I have. But in fact, this 2-week delay is making sure that we're, we're overturning every stone to see if there's an actual reason that we can, see that would, make it that this is not something that we can approve. So that's why I think this delay is good. I agree that the outcome may or may not be different, and the information available to us may or may not be different, but I don't think 2 weeks when the application started in 2018 is that big a deal. And frankly, it's not in their best interest to appeal. They have the right to, of course, but it isn't in their best interest to appeal for a 2-week delay when they've been doing this since 2018, because it's going to cost them money too. So anyway, those would be my comments. I'm happy to support the deferral. Any other comments before we vote? Okay, we have a deferral on the floor then. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, so we have, do you want to do the bylaws now? Okay, so I need a motion for bylaws. Regional Councillor DiPaolo, Councillor Tree, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you very much. And we do have a closed session item. Is there anybody that would like to go into closed session to discuss? Okay, so move into closed session. Councillor Tree, seconded by Councillor Davidson. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that carries. We'll be going into closed session.